it's very interesting to me that something which is a relational process, if we could put it like that, sounds like it was developed through relationships of a collective of people which co-created something. It's a kind of interesting kind of synergy, let's say. So can you say something about the early kind of birthing of circling, like how that happened? Was it just an organic thing? Was it more of a kind of conceptual, let's do this thing? How did it really start?
Very organic. I mean, it happened because I was at a New Year's Eve party, and I met a guy who wanted to date me.
Okay.
And so it was
well.
really that.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly. And through that, I ended up meeting a group of people who were.
Who also wanted to date you, or?
Well, some of them did,
Sorry,
but that's a different story.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
but a group of people who were really interested in exploring what it meant to be human. And, so at the time I was doing a lot of things. I was training to be a therapist, working in community mental health. I was writing my doctoral dissertation. I was in Diamond Heart, which is a spiritual group. And so I was doing lots of things. And what I discovered is when I met this group of people who just started off as a group of friends, that they were so willing to be, at least in this, mid-20s kind of way, so willing to be honest about what was going on without closing their hearts. And so more interested in what was true than in looking good, than in having things turn out in a certain way.
And it's a very, we were talking off camera about kind of spirituality and kind of a younger generation, let's say. And it's a very, I think, different path to waking up when you're in your kind of 20s, 30s, where there's a very different set of questions, different set of kind of life things that are happening. And so can you say a bit more about, I'm curious to hear more about a kind of group of people in their mid-20s that are committed to waking up, to kind of growing up, showing up, whatever you want to kind of call it, and doing that together whilst potentially people getting attracted to each other, people interested in each other, and the kind of awkwardness and kind of excitement. Like, how did that unfold? How did that develop?
Well, of course we had no idea what we were doing. We weren't doing something called circling.
Sure.
We were being together.
Yes.
And we would do things like we would maybe get ready to go out to a party at night, and somebody would say something, and the whole group would stop and say, "What was that? What just happened there? Like, when you just said that didn't feel very good." And then maybe we would all stop and put our attention there and just get really curious about what was happening. And sometimes it would end up with us staying. We never made it to the party because we were so interested in what that was. And
that was the party.
That was the party.
Yeah.
And at other times, we would end up going out to parties. And I remember there came a point where I was on my way to a party with my partner at the time. We said, "What are we doing going to this party? This seems kind of off purpose. We're just going to go and have some kind of entertainment." And we said, "Let's go open people."
Okay.
We're like, I don't know what that means, but we went. And so then we started, instead of having our attention on ourselves and whether or not I'm having fun in any given moment, we started putting our attention on other people, like what was happening for them, and just being really curious about that. And there were a few people, I remember at that party in particular, that we noticed were having a hard time or going through something, and just by putting our attention on them and caring about their experience, it ended up completely changing the trajectory of their lives. I mean, even now, there's one that kind of calls me his guardian angel.
Wow.
Because he was kind of lost in this dark place, and just by having somebody notice that and care that was happening, and get really curious and actually ask him to show up,